And we are live. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Moms for Trans Kids podcast. I feel like I missed y'all. We had one whole week that we missed. And then now I feel like, oh my God, what's going
We're
on?
getting our groove back. That's all.
Yes, we are.
We're getting our groove.
Stellar. Yes. So, welcome to the Moms for Trans Kids podcast. Me llamo Doctora Lulu. And yes, I'm a real doctor. Deal with it. I'm also a mama beast. My favorite pronoun is mama beast, but I also go by she, her, because we're not playing up in here. Okay. Mama beast do not play. But I can't do this without my co host and co mama beast, aka Kimmy. Hey, Kimmy.
Yay. Glad to be here. Happy to be here. So, yep, I'm Kimmy. So I am a mama beast of two wonderful sons. My oldest is 22 and my youngest is 17. And been along their journeys since both of them were, 12. So, I'm coming up on my tenure here in
Love it.
parenting trans babies. And, I wouldn't change it for the world. I've said that before and I mean it. They're my world, but their transness is this bit of that world. It's this bit.
As it should be. As it
Yep.
should be. But as is customary on this show, we every now and again it's just Kimmy and I, but for the most part we've been lucky. We get guests who are actually trans. And they come on the show and they talk about the trans experience. Today we're blessed with one such person. Chloe, ay, ay, ay. I went on your website, which you shared. Thank you so much for sharing. And I was just like, oh my goodness, they have been doing things bigly. So, Chloe, welcome to the show.
Thank
Why did
you.
you decide to come on this show today? What's up with that?
So I'm kind of looking at what you're doing out there. Growing up trans is, as you know, a whole thing, and not because it needs to be, but because other people make it be. And then to see moms out there fighting, for their kids and just throwing in that effort and being fearless. I'm like, I got to get to know these women. I got to get on here and talk about some of the things that they're doing and learn and share what I've learned and, some of my experiences in general. And my background's a little bit different than many of the stories. And that I was a college football player for 4 years, and I coached college football for a little bit, and been all over the place, with gender and gender roles. So I'm just happy to be here and chat with y'all.
How
I
exciting.
am so excited. I think, Kimmy, I think this is a first. We've never had a former college.
I am really loving this. So I can't
Yes,
wait to hear a little bit, you're teasing us right now. I just want to
yes.
dig in. Yeah.
That is so
Sure.
amazing. I mean, we're not that old, but we've never had a former college football guest on the show.
Well,
I have definitely have one question for you about the just this coming at trans girls specifically when it comes to so we're going to talk about that because we're friends with Chris Mosier. So yes. Oh
yay.
my God. Yes, name dropping, are we? Of course, because we can.
And
So the
why not?
moms for trans kids. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and why not? I mean,
Exactly, right?
let's talk
Why not
about the
if
You
we
know what
basics.
you
can?
know.
Chris is coming on the show. I know this. I can see it in the future. Mainly because he promised me he was going to come on the show. So it's going to happen. But this is so cool. So, geez, Chloe, where do you want to begin? I mean, the floor is yours. Just tell us
Great.
everything. Tell us.
I always say let's start at the beginning, and then I realize that there's so many different beginnings. Like, which one do you choose? I grew up in Rochester, New York, and loved my hometown. Stayed there for quite a while. Stayed there for college, actually. I was homecoming king in high school my sophomore year. I was award-winning football player my sophomore year. I was voted most improved player on the team. I was team captain my senior year. Went on to play college football, and I don't know how many people watching are familiar with American football, but basically, there's a lot of smashing, basically, and I was one of the main smashers. Is probably a good way to put it. I played offensive line, so either moving people where I wanted them to go, or keeping them away from the quarterback who I didn't want to let them hit. and, and using my head to do so literally and figuratively. So I thought I was going to go on and coach college football. I had an offer to coach at a school in Ohio. After driving 90 minutes through nothing but cornfields, I thought this may not be the right spot for me. So I took a detour, and I've been around a lot of different places since then. I'm a bit of a tumbleweed.
I am, Kimmy, I don't know. First of all, I love that. Finally, I get someone to teach me football in 59 minutes. Because my youngest played football, but he has this much patience for me because I'm always asking dumb questions. He says, "Mom, you should know." I said, "Dude, I don't know." And like, I'm Catholic, so what's a Hail Mary? I want to know.
Yeah,
well, and I wouldn't have to ask the question if you told me the answer. We'd be all set.
I would ask you more than once, except, Mom, I told you that last week, and that is true. I'm usually like checking them out. Oh, I think Cam Newton is so cute. Oh, I think the other one from wherever is so cute, and I think the one from Texas Tech is so cute. And I'm too busy looking at them, and of course I forget the interception and intersection, whatever. Like you were just tired of me, but yes. Oh my God, thank you so much for studying us that way. This is the beauty of transness, right? It's like you've lived the whole life as someone. Mm-hmm. And now you're this other person. I was at the Keystone Conference about a month ago, and I met Gabby something. But Gabby used to be Gabe, and Gabe was an award-winning wrestler and power lifter. I don't know the terminology. And let me tell you, she showed us her pictures from this, 500-pound, whoever, muscle man to this model. And obviously, I think she's like 6'4", but she showed those pictures of like the first stages of the surgery, all the things to become who she is now. And one thing she said that I think I want you to maybe address if you can is, she says she worked extra hard. She did more reps. She did everything more at the gym as Gabe because she just couldn't, she really wanted to not be Gabe, but because she couldn't be not Gabe. So it was like a hamster wheel kind of thing, just doing more. So she wouldn't think about the fact that she was having dysphoria the whole time. I mean, did you ever experience that?
I absolutely relate to that. So one of my difficulties as an athlete was many of my coaches were disappointed to find out that I was not the fastest. I wasn't the strongest. I wasn't the most agile, but I outworked everyone. And that became kind of my calling card. And I got the most backhanded compliment in my life from, one of them, from my college coach. And we had just finished a grueling conditioning session. It was like a 5 a.m. winter in Rochester, New York. And we finish up and we're all kind of huddled around the coach. We're ready to go and do whatever we were going to do with that the rest of that day, hopefully go to sleep. Probably not though. And he said, I want you all to know that this person, me, is the least athletic person I've ever coached in my life. And I'm like, where is this going? And he said, but they work harder than anybody else I've ever coached in my entire career. And there's, we talked about that. There's something to be done, something to be said for that. And I just tried to work as hard as I could. I went through a lot of weight changes that probably weren't that healthy for me at the time.
Yes.
But I was really strong too. I was squatting about 650. I was benching almost 400 pounds. I really got back to being strong, and I didn't care. I felt so disconnected from myself. But playing football, especially, it's the only time, like if I were to think about anything else while I'm on the field other than what was happening right in front of me, behind me, around me, I would get hurt. And I got hurt enough already. I didn't need to add any extra opportunity to me getting hurt. So I really threw myself into it until I couldn't anymore. I think there's a little bit of a difference. I mean, when I think about athletics, at some point people tell you that you're not good enough to keep playing. So I wasn't going pro. I could have coached. And, I think about like other endeavors, like you can keep going, but if I was a musician or if I was in theater, I could have, kept doing those things. With athletics, it's a hard stop. I mean, especially with football, because there's not really a lot of organized tackle football leagues outside of college, maybe, a few semi-pro leagues. But so that was kind of it for me. I was like, now who am I? And it turns out I was somebody fairly different.
Gosh, it takes a lot for me to have no words, because I really want to ask a lot of questions. And the first one I want to ask is, why football? Like when you're trying to get, because Gabby says that she was trying to get as masculine as she could, because inside she didn't feel that way. Now again, you're not Gabby, but I didn't know where we were going, which is why I love my show, because I don't want to know about my guests too much, so that my reactions are authentic. And I see Sam has joined us. Hey, Sam from Facebook. Thank you so much. Y'all, please, if you have any questions, I just typed that on Instagram. If you have any questions, ask us, because we have someone of trans experience here. And yes, if you're a homophobe, we know how to take care of you. So come along. But yeah, I just want to know, I guess, maybe why football?
Yeah,
and Kimmy, do you have any questions?
I got all kinds of questions, but let's go with the why football first.
So for why football, that was what my body kind of dictated. I stopped growing at 6 foot, so basketball wasn't necessarily in my future. My uncle was a professional basketball player. He's 6'10". I was not going to approach that height at all, but I was big, and I was somewhat athletic. I was athletic for my age group, for my area, that kind of thing. And it was built-in friends. Like, I didn't play youth football. I didn't start playing football until I was in 9th grade. And it was like, hey, you're big. I'd moved to a new school. You're big. You should play football. Okay, well, I'm new here. I'd like to meet people. I guess I'll play football. And once I start doing something, I'm competitive. I can't not do it to the best of my ability. So I just threw myself into it.
Nice.
Wow. I mean, naturally, I want to ask, did you enjoy playing football? Were you also like Gabby trying to do it? Now that your height, were at 6 feet, your height kind of stopped. Obviously, you're a very tall woman, and maybe not as tall as a man, because we're saying a binary man in this case. But did you feel dysphoric as a football playing man?
Always. Back in, when I was kind of pretending, or I wouldn't say pretending. I was putting all my effort, as I referenced, once I try to do something, I really throw myself into it. And that I was trying to basically outdo being trans. So it was like, okay, what else, can I do here to kind of make myself fit the mold that people seem to want me to fit? And it didn't work. I mean, I tried it for so long, and it just, being trans isn't something that for me has ever gone away. And my understanding is that that's the case. And that's the case for just about everybody I've met as well. So just kept rolling with it.
Wow. When did you first know that you were trans?
It's my first memory of life. My first memory of life is, I grew up in a very Catholic household, and my first memory of life was waking up and praying that I would wake up going to bed and praying that I would wake up as a girl. And it took many, many years. It finally happened, but not after a lot of trials, a lot of therapy, of trying to figure out, am I actually going to be able to do this, and those types of things. So yeah, I'm glad, because it means I'm still here. I'm still kicking, I'm still going. And it's kind of why I started doing a lot of the public speaking that I do. And, in one of those roles, I was speaking against, I think it was the first transgender military band outside of the federal building in my hometown. And it was my first time speaking. So in a public area like that, and first time speaking as myself. So I'm standing up on this thing. I've got the megaphone. Everything in me is shaking except for my voice. And I get up there and I have it written somewhere. I don't remember exactly what I said. And I got down and this woman comes up to me and I'll never forget this. She said, I just want to thank you for being an inspiration to me and my family. And that's amazing. Like, of course, I love hearing that. I'm glad I can be helpful. And then, but I'm also kind of looking around. I'm like, oh, wait, I wonder where her family is. And this little girl comes running up to me and she's just so happy and she's smiling and she looks at me all excited. She goes, I'm transgender too. And she was just so happy. And I'm glad I was sweating because I started crying a little bit, tearing up, because I knew I was a representation for her that wasn't present when I was growing up as a child. So being able to do that for somebody else was incredible.
I love that. I'm there with the little girl because I say that all the time, representation matters. And for me, my form of representation matters is happily parenting a trans kid representation, not just parenting a trans kid, because people walk up to me feeling sorry for me. They think that it's like a burden, is this thing that's weighing me down. What I want to show is happily Black, actually, and parenting a trans kid, because it's just, I'm a unicorn in that aspect. But I can only imagine what it was like for that little girl to know that when I grow up, I can be me. Because as I was growing up, I knew a couple of my family members who now I know that looking back, they were gay or just, in the queer space. But I didn't know what it was then. But I didn't see anyone at all that was like even a little bit gay until Ellen.
Yeah,
And Ellen is not Black. And then came Wanda Sykes. But in Nigeria, we were like, well, is Grace Jones? Is she a man? Is she a woman? But her name is Grace, So this is truly me as a teenager, just trying to find anybody. I just didn't know anybody. So I love hearing that a little girl, no matter how old she was then, and maybe possibly her mom or her aunt, recognized in you. And that's what keeps me going. Every time I go on my page, I see 1 or 2 haters, but then I see 26,000 non-haters. Yeah. So I know that, this is something that I need to keep doing. Wow. Kimmy, you want to say something?
Well, let's talk about the courage. Let's talk about the courage that it took for you to, I guess, make this very big change outwardly and to your friends and family at an older age. I'm sure there's a lot of explaining to do and or not, you don't really owe anybody any answers, but the thing I want to compare is, how Dr. Lulu says, people come to the, like us and kind of go, oh, you transgender, yikes, like, how do you do it? And it's really not that big of a deal. When you look at what your child is going through, it totally, like, I pull all of the courage or all of the strength from my children. Otherwise, I'd probably be in a closet too.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with you, so I just want to just pause for a moment, give you flowers, like Dr. Lulu said,
Thank you.
Because the amount of courage that it takes, for a young kid, even, then you add that layer to it. And so when you look at all of the things that are hard to do, it's hard to parent transgender kids, but it's so doable. What are they going through? Like,
it's interesting. I used to be, I could walk into a room. I was a bouncer for a little while. I could walk into a room and
God, I'm done. I love it. Don't be dropping those tiny little listen, I want to hear about
Get her on the payroll. Get her on the payroll. That's it.
Oh my gosh, I'm ready. Yeah, so I was a bouncer in a couple places. I was a bouncer when I lived in Boston for a while, and It's like you look at the room, you're like, I could take everybody in here, and I felt incredibly weak. Like at the same time, like I could run the room, but I have zero confidence in myself. And now I walk into a room and I'm like, probably not a whole lot I can do here.
Yeah.
But I feel so much more confident. I feel stronger. Because I know myself, and now that I know myself, I'm seizing opportunities when I can. I'm trying to open the door for other people in my life to be able to do some of the things that they want to do. And I'm so fortunate because so many people, have helped me out. And it was interesting. So when I started to, and you alluded to this earlier, Dr. Lulu, when I started to come out, my first thought was, well, there goes all my privilege, and I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to have this. And through the patience of others, it was not like the realization, but it was the understanding of like, oh, I'm still very white. And what does that mean, not only for me in my life as a trans person, but what does that mean for other people in my orbit, other trans people in my life? And the amount of strength that I see from Black trans women and trans women of color, and what they're dealing with, being Black and trans, and whatever the others ands might be, I'm amazed every day. I learn every day, and I'm thankful every day that we're all doing this together. And it's one of those things we talk about, privilege as currency, and like if I have this extra privilege, that's meant to be spent. If I hold it only for me,
exactly,
what am I really doing with it? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why I really like partnering with Dr. Lulu, because I think we've got quite a spectrum of diversity, just even between the two of us. And then when we add a guest, it really expands that even more. I did have one quick comment, but one question, just because this is a show for parents, and let's be selfish here for a minute. As a parent of young adults that are kind of just stepping out into the world as transgender, as themselves, what can we as parents, or what should we be doing right now? I mean, should we be just buggering off and just, or like how much? I mean, I know communication is a big one, but what really do we need that they won't tell us?
Yeah, I imagine, that, kids at that age are kind of like, because I don't have kids myself, but they're probably at the, I got this, kind of leave me alone. And, oh, you're so embarrassing kind of deal. And that may be true in a moment for them, but that's not true overall.
Mm-hmm.
They need to know that you have their back, that you support them. One of the things I tell people who, in my talks at universities and other places is, you'll hear from a lot of people that, I'll love you, I'll love you no matter what. I'll love you no matter who you are. And I think that's a little different. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. I tell people that, look, they're not going to love you no matter what. They're going to love you exactly because of who you are, not in spite of who you are. Who you are is everything to them as well. And, if your parent is being supportive, they really want you to be happy. And it's because of who you are. It's not in spite of it. And a lot of people think, well, there's like this deficit mindset of like, well, we can't, we can't, they can't, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, well, this is happening. You're like you're so pretty for a trans person or something. I'm like, no, you're attractive. You're attractive. If you're smart, you're smart. If you're in a relationship, it's because you deserve to be in that relationship. You're being cared for. You care for others. Those types of things. It's never in spite. It's always because of.
It's always and. I love that. I want to go back a little bit. I just think it was profound when you said, I was once a bouncer, but I had zero confidence in myself. I love that, because it's the same way that, social media, everybody looks perfect on social media. That's a lie. But
always.
This is so profound, because during the lockdown, I was writing a book. I ended up having my youngest child clean out the laptop, and then unfortunately cleaned out the book, because we're trying to keep not the laptop, the small iPad. So I gave it to my mom and I completely forgot and we cleaned it out. So the book was called What If Your Child is a Bully? And in that book, I was talking about the fact that most bullies who may be big and, scary looking, they have zero confidence. And not that a bouncer is necessarily a bully, but a bouncer can represent a bully in a picture because that's kind of, you're there to, prevent people from, keep order, whatever. But isn't it ironic that literally speaking, most bullies have zero confidence. They don't have any, which is why they want to go for you. They want to go at you. And I go back to 45. I go back to the legislatures. I go back to the people who have power. Or is it power though? Because they can come for a little 4-year-old child who has not hurt them, who hasn't done anything to them, and in their minds they are being very. So that's been a bully. So thank you for just that picture you painted that you were a bouncer, but then you really had not much Yes, you could take everybody out because you were bench pressing 2,000. Great, but probably if a little girl said something to you, you would start crying. And then today, you are not a bouncer. You're a trans woman living authentically. I don't know if you can still take everyone in the room, but you have confidence. So tell me a little bit about those two people. Where did they meet in the middle?
That's a great question. Actually, nobody has ever asked me that question before. And
I will ask the profound questions.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So where did they meet in the middle? I think it was kind of relying on some of the things that got me through for so long when I was so down, I was so depressed, and the work ethic really helped me out. And I was fortunate when I finally decided that I was going to transition. I had an incredibly good mental health provider. And one of the things that we worked on was I was a very black and white thinker. I was like, it's either this or this. There's no opportunity for gray. And of course, life is lived in the gray. We got me into a place where I started doing photography. And I started doing photography because it forced me to go outside and be active, but also to search out beauty in the world that I was not ever going to see otherwise and realize that it existed. And I feel like that was a connection piece from who I was, in my growth to who I am now, was starting to look for beauty in the world, knowing that there is beauty in the world. And now I can be part of it. And that's, being part of the beauty in the world, because I really do try to make the lives of people around me better. And I was giving a talk at a university not too long ago, and one of the questions came up about, how do you find joy? And I said, to be honest, right now, I think a lot of our time is kind of looking for joy to find us. And if you look around, if you look at, you mentioned the legislation, just the environment in general, joy isn't really out there looking for us right now from a lot of places. But what we can do is search out joy. We can put ourselves in places to succeed, places that we know will be happy. My happy spot is the ocean, the lake, the stream, whatever it might be, a pond. If I go there, I'm finding beauty, and yeah, we'll find each other kind of deal. And I think that was kind of where they started to meet, and seeing that it was possible allowed me to grow and start getting into these opportunities. I mean, yeah, I didn't even think I would be here. If you told me that I'd be on a billboard in Times Square, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way. And it happened. And I was like, okay, well, here we are now.
Wow. I definitely want to just talk about a couple of things. One of them is I was raised Catholic, and I don't know the next time I'm going to get a trans person who is also Catholic, or who has the same Catholic upbringing. So I want to go there for a little bit. Tell me about the intersectionality of, well, white in your case, but white, Catholic, and trans woman.
Mm-hmm. So speaking about some jobs that I've had, my very first job was as a custodian at the local Catholic church and school. So I would go and mop and sweep and all of those things, the church, the school. And I think I was 14 at the time. And there is something to be said when it's winter, it's dark already, you're vacuuming the church and you hear noises and you're like, God, are we okay? Are we cool? And like, you don't know what the answer is because, the official line from the church is telling you that you're probably not, but you're feeling as somebody, who was in the faith at the time was that like, I think we'd be cool. So it was interesting because the doctrine and the faith, I struggle to align them in a lot of ways, in that the cherry picking of theology is difficult for me. And I studied theology for a while. I had a very good friend in high school. He was my best friend for years and years and years. And we talked about religion all the time. And we went to other churches because, like, how would we know if our faith is right if we don't know anything about any of the other faiths? So it wasn't like, if you question it, you don't believe. It's if your faith can't stand up to questioning, then you may have another issue that you need to kind of consider. So we would go and kind of learn about all these other things. And we finally came to like the core. We finally came to like, here's what we know. Here's what we absolutely know. We don't know anything. We think.
Yes, I was with him with that. We've been making it up. We've been making shit up the whole time.
We don't know.
So we are at the bottom of the hour. Usually at the bottom of the hour, we take a minute to pay our bills for when the show goes global on TV. So the show is brought to you by Dr. Lulu's Pride Corner. So I have this practice called Dr. Lulu's Pride Corner where I help parents of LGBTQ plus kids with the real meaning of gender and sexuality affirmation. It begins at the age of birth, okay? What does that mean? What is your child telling you? What do they really want from you.com? So go to www.dr-lulu.com, right? /consulting. On that page, you find out about my practice, Pride Corner. You find out about ABC program for organizations, and you find out about all the other things that I do on my website. But on May 17th, thanks to you all, you spoke and we listened. We're bringing you the very first ever of its kind, the webinar titled How to Handle Homophobia, period. Okay, so that's the name of my webinar. I'm so excited. And as of today, we have 18 whole humans who have signed up. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who signed up because you know what? I'm doing it. Not afraid. I'm doing it. But yeah, so it's titled How to Handle Homophobia at Home, at Work, at the Workplace, and wherever else, good people are. Mm-hmm. Because I think, like Kimmy said one time, those other people, they're talking very loud. Their voices are very, very loud. So let's learn how to counter their voices. So www.com, is that what they call it? www.whatever.com. Go to my social media, Dr. Dr-Lulu, my website, dr-lulu.com, to sign up for my programs. Look there, you'll find everything that I do, my books and all the things. But I really want y'all to tell people about this particular webinar because we only have 100 spots and 18 of them are taken and we still have about 3 weeks to go. So if you don't hurry up, you'll find no space. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, amongst other things. But yeah, welcome, Kay Villa. Welcome to the show. So we are back to Moms for Trans Kids podcast. Today we're talking with Chloe, who is just like from the first word you said. You had me at the, oh my God, which one? Is it the footballer, the bouncer, all the things? And actually, when you said something about hearing noises in the church, I wanted you to say something else. Kimmy, you know what I was thinking? I was like,
I didn't know where she was going, but I was like, I was here for it. I didn't know where she was.
I was like, but I was here. Was it the priest and the Reverend Mother?
I was the only one in the church at the time. It was just me. So it was somebody up there was telling me something.
Okay, but coming back to the questions, Kimmy, let me know if you have any because I do want to I want to mention when you said looking for joy and allowing, and rather than waiting for joy to come to you, for you to go seek it out is so profound because there's something called confirmation bias. whereby if you're looking for negativity, you will find it everywhere. You have to give yourself permission to say, you know what? Today I'm not going to be unhappy, or whatever you choose to say. And then, believe it or not, you will manifest that as a reality. But if you're just waiting for it to come to you, like you said, there's just too much negative things going on out there. It's not going to come running to you. Trust me, at 55, I found out the hard way. It's just not coming. You are your own self's Calvary. You have to save yourself. And this goes out to queer people too. We know it's all about safety when it comes to talking to your parents. But you can come out to yourself and be okay with that. If it's not safe with your parents, don't tell your parents, because it's about safety. This is coming from a parent who did not know any better. So I wanted to mention that, and I wanted to mention about just you talking about the softest thing ever, finding beauty. I thought you were going to say something else, but you said that was so profound. It's like, we've got this big burly guy who's obviously weightlifter and all the things, and then you're looking for beauty, and you had to look into the lens of a camera. And I thought you were going to say that you saw it in faces and flowers and buildings and hills. Who knows what you'd be photographing? But tell me a little bit more about it, because that's just such a soft thing to say. I'm also a semi-pro photographer, but I photograph only trees because I just love trees so much. But yeah, tell me about this finding beauty. Tell me.
For me, it's always been about nature. It's always been, I felt, because I never felt like I could be myself with anybody else around me. But when I'm out by myself, I'm in the woods, I'm at the lake. I grew up near Lake Ontario, and there on my own, scary sometimes because I was with only my thoughts, but also that's when you hear things. That's when you hear the waves. That's when you hear the pebbles. That's when you feel the sand under your feet. And even now when I wake up, I'm so happy that I live in a place that has a few trees around, even though I'm in the city, and there are birds that hang out, and like, they'll wake me up in the morning. Part of me is like, I would like to sleep. But the other part is like, you know what? It's cool. You're doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. We can do it together. So it's just, finding that beauty. And then, when you're finding joy, I also try to, help other people find that joy too. And I realized, I had spent some time trying to change people's minds that would never entertain the idea of changing their mind. It's not going to work. So part of the reason I did the audio reality show that I was in was because I was hearing from a lot of people that, I want to be supportive of trans people. I think I am. I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing, so I don't engage, and, I'm just not involved. And I was like, okay, well, I had the opportunity. I was cast in this show. It's called Being Trans on Lemonada Media, if you want to check it out. They have a lot going on right now. But I'm there, and I'm opening up my life, and I'm not good with being vulnerable, because being vulnerable wasn't safe. You touched on the topic of safety, and now, like, you can hear me go on a blind date. You can really see me grapple with going back into football after I transitioned. You can hear me talk about the possibility of having my own kids. And what you'll really find is like, oh, we're incredibly alike. Just one of us is really angry that the other one exists. So I did it, in a way to kind of change hearts and minds. And it was a really good experience for me personally, because I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot more about the community. And we can do hard things, but we have to say yes to them.
Yes, we can do hard things, but we have to say yes to them. Absolutely. There's a whole podcast titled "We Can Do Hard Things," by the way. Thank you so much for sharing that. Kimmy, did you want to say something, Mama?
I can't. I don't even know where to start. I like I said, the positivity message, I can definitely, I wish more people could have the experience of knowing transgender people. I wish, and I applaud you for being on the reality show, just to expose people to something that they're not normally exposed to, because I myself live in a pretty conservative area, and unless you're asking questions or you're really out there with it, you just don't see too much. Yeah. And so big cities are one thing, but when you get out, when you get away from the big lights, you know, it's important to find those role models, you know, that they're actors, they're singers, they're coaches, they're teachers, you know, whatever. I mean, they're just people, and they have skills, and they have experiences to teach from. I mean, it's, you know, I just thank you for being one of those people,
Yep.
that we can kind of
I
go
agree.
out and I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to try to find it. So I, you know, like I said, we'll stay in touch.
It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and the types of things.
I got
Okay.
you.
Great.
I'm
So you can find it on. So it's called Being Trans. Yep. So being BING:trans TRANS. So if you search for it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, it might come up with a season 2 artwork, which is Being Golden. We were season 1. We were the first time that it had ever been done, and it was a powerful experience for me, just to open up my life in a way that I never wanted to. I never thought that I would. Now I'm like,
I usually write a weekly newsletter, and I usually just write something random, but I'm writing, my newsletter is all about you. It's just so powerful. You said, well, there goes my privilege.
Mhm.
That is something that I've heard multiple times. So I almost want to push back a little bit. How much of your privilege do you think you lost going from being a big burly man who was a bouncer
question.
to
yeah.
also a tall, beautiful woman? How much of it do you think you lost in just with interfacing, being trans and being? I want to spend like a week with you. I have so many questions. I love it, and obviously no disrespect at all. I just ask the questions that I know somebody else might want to ask. Which of your privileges do you think you lost?
Yeah. So for me, that's a great question as well. So
what did you say, Kimmy? Sorry.
And which have you gained? Like,
well, there you go.
Yeah. So I didn't lose as much privilege as I thought I was going to when I transitioned, because I realized what people thought of me. You know, they didn't have I wasn't doing as well at outdoing life as maybe I thought I was. So I had struggled, you know, with some bosses and some other things as well. And I realized that when I was saying privilege, what I was really meaning was physical safety, legislative safety, all of these other things that weren't as much about the privileged aspect. I mean, honestly, being white is my greatest privilege. And that didn't change. That has nothing to do with my gender. That didn't change. So not quite as much. And, you know, things that I've gained is being able to walk through the world and not really, like, before I was trans, I was terrified that people would know I was trans. Now I think everybody that I see probably knows that I'm trans, and I just roll with it. You know, it is okay. So what of it? What else? I've got all this other stuff going on. You know, I'm a PhD student. We can talk about that. I love sports. We can talk about that. Like, what else is on your mind other than what you think of me right now because I'm trans?
Yes, that is so true. And that's why I want to bring it back down to when you said something that you may have forgotten that you said, but I love that you said I used to go to bed and pray to wake up as a girl. I want every parent to hear you say that, and even the parents at the back. When your child tells you, by the time your child tells you that they're transgender, they've known forever. Mm-hmm. And I know you didn't quite answer the question, but I do want you to try to see if you can go there for us and find the age, if you can, when you first had the full realization that this is actually who I am. Because I was going to bed and praying that I wake up as a girl, was a child. How old was that girl?
I was honestly somewhere between 3 and 5 years old. I would say more likely 3 and 4 years old. We are the first people to know that we are trans We know ourselves, Dr. Lulu, you just said it. We've been over this. We've tried, most of us, at least in my generation, have tried not to be trans for an incredibly long time at a great cost to ourselves and, honestly, those around us. I'm now a better friend. I'm a better daughter. I'm a better colleague, all of these things. Yes, I'm a better person. I'm able to give more of myself because I actually care now. I give a shit about myself and other people, and I can show up for them in ways that I thought I was doing before, but I was showing up physically. I wasn't showing up as a person, and now I feel like a whole person that I can give myself as a whole person. I knew forever once I let myself be, things got better for everyone.
Once I let myself be, things got better for everyone. I want to say that again and again and again, because when people come on social media and attack trans kids, I swear to God, they're all LGBT, they're all trans. I mean, it's just, they're struggling so much. This one guy recently on my page, I pinned the comments now. I just pinned them. And this one came and said, it's a pin of shame, because the person was like, all of y'all are crazy, you're all mentally, whatever, abusing your children. I just put it up there with the name. And I said, you know what? You probably are dealing with something, maybe not being LGBT, but there's something about you that you cannot authentically acknowledge. And therefore, let me go for this person. And so thank you so much for saying that. When I feel better, everyone else feels better. And that's the way I think it is for all. When it's a misery loves company, that's true. Misery does love company. And when we don't have any misery, everybody's happier, which is why I just think people should just let people just be who they are. There's so much pain.
I'll never understand what could be so intrinsically wrong with someone to hate a child. I will never. I can't grasp intellectually, emotionally, with faith, without faith. I cannot grasp a person who would attack a child. I just can't. Let the kid be. Let the kid have fun. Let the kid find joy in life. And if you're just struggling so much with yourself, like, figure out why you're so angry.
Yes.
You're not mad about this. You're not really mad about trans people. You're
yes.
not. What else is going on that you're so pissed about that you take it out on a very small minority of people who aren't impacting your life in any way?
Thank you.
I don't get it. I mean, take
mic drop.
Instead of typing out that comment, sit with yourself for 60 seconds. What is it that is making me feel like I should or need to say this to somebody else? When I gave one of my most recent talks, I said, look, I can work with most people. I can work with most things. I only know of one single way to do life wrong. And that is if you go out with your day to try to make somebody else's life worse. And that's your goal. That's your motivation. You're doing life wrong.
Yep. It's religion. Religion is one of it. Culture is another. Colonization is another. Toxic masculinity is another. Male chauvinistic society is another. Machismo, whatever that word is another. And if you find that what these things, the one thread these things have in common, is the male of the species. It's the male of the species. That is why in my Facebook group of nearly 2,000 moms, on 2,000 parents, 99% of them are moms. Where are the dads? Where are they? They're also parents of these kids, but they're hiding. Too busy hating. I've seldom gotten a hateful comment from a woman on any of my posts. And I'm not kidding. The recent one I got was from a classmate I went to high school with. She's a born-again Christian. She's messed up. Her brain is messed up anyway. She knows herself. And as soon as she said that, I shut her down because I do not tolerate that. That's the one person that in all my days that I remember. Everyone else is just men. Men. This one guy came on the page and said, oh, oh, he knows me. I'm in a romantic relationship with a white trans woman. I'm like,
Okay. Like, I just,
okay.
I really think that the culture is harmful to men too. Like, what is driving you to,
Yeah.
because I know so many of them are, if you dig down, there's good, there's good things, and just chill out on some things. And I see the comment from Kay, and they think we're influencing people. If I could have been influenced by people in regards to my gender identity or anything else, I would have, because I only saw cishet straight people around me in my entire life on TV. I was immersed in the most masculine of cultures.
Yes.
If I could have been influenced, I promise you I would have been.
You would. I love that. I love that. If I could have been influenced. And I think I say that a lot in other ways. Like, your child has the higher chance of becoming non-LGBT as much as you have the higher chance of becoming LGBT. I mean, it's like, if influence really was a point, all straight people will be gay and all gay people will be straight. I mean, if really truly I could influence you, I could say, Kimmy, right now you're black because you're one of your good Mama Beast friends is black, and you will be black. That's it. I mean, really? How? How can, I don't care how much time I spend with Kim. Kim cannot make me not be bisexual. And the thing about it is, I tell you, when your child brings home a queer kid, your child is queer. Period. And I'll tell you why. We always pick friends that validate us. Water will always find its level. The way the world is so anti-gay, your child will not bring a gay person home, not even to wait outside the door, if they were not gay. Because the world is not pro-gayism. I've just made that word up. It's not. So there's no way if your child's best friend is queer, if your child is asking questions about queerness, if your child is dropping any kind of hints about rainbows, parents, enough already with the blindsidedness. I know for me, I say till I die, I did not see trans coming, but I definitely saw gay. And unfortunately, as much as I say I didn't see trans coming, I was always telling my child, stop acting like a girl. So did I really not see trans coming?
I didn't see trans coming with my second one.
I didn't see trans coming, period. But she said, Mom, you knew. I'm like, Lord, how did she say you knew? She said it with so much conviction. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
No, I just, I point back to the story with my youngest, at 3 years old or 2 or 3, like whenever you potty train, he was telling me he wished he had a tail to pee out of, like, little Tommy at preschool. And I'm like, and I had an older transgender son, and I still didn't connect the dots,
well, there you go.
It's just, sometimes you oversee things, but hindsight is always one of those things that catch you up to speed.
Yeah. Wow, this has been amazing. Y'all, we have been in a just deep. I feel like Chloe needs to come back. Kim, we say this every week.
I know. We have a lot of good guests, though.
To come back. I just feel like we didn't even scratch the surface. But Chloe, you have been the most.
We didn't.
Just the most authentic, most transparent. Thank you so much for your smile, for your poise, for your beauty, for your heart, for your soul, for your joy, for your trans joy, which is just so, and just for trying your best to educate people. I did have one last question that was a little deep. And I think it's maybe even a little controversial. It's more individual. But I wanted to ask you, do you think that white trans women are doing enough to hoist black trans women up? Do you think, just woman to woman?
That's a great question. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. I would say that I would say that right now we're not winning, and that means we're not doing enough. We are not making, and it's so hard to say we're not doing enough because everybody's, for the most part, is working so incredibly hard. Like, I don't know anybody who is just sitting back and going, whatever. We're all working so hard. I do think that, white trans women, we have an obligation to make space for more people, for trans women of color, for trans men, for everybody, because there is a privilege in being white. We need to recognize that, but we also need to spend it. We also need to spend that privilege. Going back to that other idea, I really think that, where we have privilege, we need to spend it, because we're not, it's not slingshot. It's not like, but if I do this, then I'm down here, it's not that. It's not less. All you're doing is building a bigger community.
I love that. That is so true. Yeah. So, I said that, I asked that because I know I haven't heard, maybe I just haven't heard, but I don't think I've heard of any white trans women that have been victims of homicide. But for some reason, and maybe I just they haven't been. I just haven't heard. That's why I said that. Maybe they have been. But I know I can't sleep for hearing Black trans women. So I'm just asking.
Incredibly disproportionate.
Because I know when it comes to cisgender women, white women and cisgender Black women, I know that there's this big, huge divide. And the Black women are like, no, y'all need to do more. And the white women are like, well, I'm doing what my husband is doing, which is not what's good for the Black trans, for the Black cis women. So it's just, but yeah, I wanted to ask that. What were y'all saying? Sorry.
I will say that even if nobody is telling, me as a white trans woman that I need to do more, I need to do more. I need to find more that can be done, that can help, that can put other people forward. If I have a platform, I want to bring other people along with it. So if anybody is out there listening, you have ideas for me, please let me know. I would, I'm happy to keep going. And it's all about learning, and, it's all about getting better. So, when you have privilege, please spend it.
Yes. I love that. I think that's the title of this episode. Privilege is currency. I love that. And you're right. We need to spend it. And I do my best, but I think we could all do better. But also, I do not, I put my foot down where, you don't want to incinerate yourself. That's not the plan here. Incinerate yourself so you can keep doing better. No, there's no need for that. But certainly just being able to have what we're saying at the beginning, that when I was growing up, I didn't know any bisexual women that were Black. I didn't know even that I was bisexual. I thought I was a lesbian. So I can just see how now being able to bring Black women, if I can find one Black mother, which I have one coming in May, hallelujah, there's a second Black mom we're getting on this show of a trans kid. I definitely want them on the show. So if you're hearing me right now, Kay Villa is a Black mom of a trans kid. I just saw that. So you need to come on this show because we need to see ourselves. We have to see. It's the way to do it. I'm not an introvert. I don't have an introvert's bone in my body. Thank goodness. So I am okay carrying the flag until everyone else feels comfortable coming out. But definitely we have to not hide. We have to not hide. So Kay says, I got you. So Kay, I'm coming on your case to come on the show because we need to show other Black mothers that have trans kids. Because I see your kids. This is the thing. I see your kids. So I know your moms. I know the moms are out there. I know the moms are out there. Wow, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Can I say one quick thing? Do we have time? Yes, I want to jump in with one quick thing.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking about it. I kind of regret saying that we're not doing enough. I think what I meant to say was I'm not doing enough. I think that I don't want to speak for other people. The privilege I have in even having a job, a place to live, a car, basic necessities, that's me. That's on me. So I don't want to speak for other people. Sometimes existing is just is enough. It's more than enough. And I'm glad that people are doing it. And I just want to clarify that. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I always speak for myself, but I do know that I see the Black trans kids. So I know that their parents are out there. Period. So Black trans kids parents, I'm calling all of y'all out. Come out. Let's
I don't think
stand
there's
before
ever
God.
going to be a day in our lifetime where we go, well, our job here is done.
Done. Yes.
What
Okay, Kimmy,
now?
you're
What
fired. Like,
now?
no. Yes, for now,
No,
yeah.
there's
But
always going to be something.
but Kimmy, we say that on this show all the time that God didn't give you the work because you couldn't do it. God gave you the work because you could do it. And what I always say is God will send you the people. They will send you the people. As y'all know, God's pronouns for me are she, they. So they will send you the people you need. But you gotta first accept it, which is why I like what you said earlier on, Chloe. You said something about the work, but you gotta do the work. What did you say? That was something you said earlier on.
Oh, we can do hard things, but we have to say yes to them.
You have to say yes, thank you. We can do hard things, but you have
Yeah.
to say yes to it. I mean, this is the truth. You cannot do it without saying, I'll do it. But once you say I'll do it, like my coach says, you say yes and then you figure it out. And I literally take jump and then you grow your wings on your way down.
Mhm.
Similar. But yeah, so Kay says the work is never done. She's right. All
Right.
right, folks, this has been amazing. You got a bunch of people on Instagram. You got, gosh, like 30 people on Instagram. They didn't write any comments, so maybe I couldn't see the comments. I'm not sure. But thank you all so much for joining us today. The show is called Moms, the number 4 Trans Kids. We're here every Sunday agitating, aggravating, representing, doing all the things because we need to and we can. So if you are out there and you've ever had an experience of discrimination in whatever way, I think you should consider coming for the webinar because the webinar is going to teach you how to handle other forms of discrimination, not just homophobia, whether it's racism, and you'll be surprised what the answer is. I know, Kim, you probably know already. You'll be surprised what the answer is. I got a big surprise for you. But come on to the webinar. It's on May 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be awesome. If you don't come, I'm going to turn it around, package it, and sell it to you. So you might as well come for the free version. But yeah, my name is Dr. Lulu. This has been so much fun. Chloe, where can the people find you, follow you, support you, watch all your you're a celebrity, basically.
Yeah.
Watch all your celebrity things.
So you can find my website is chloe-corcoran.com, CHLOE-CORCORAN.com. You can find all my social handles there. Always happy to chat, always happy to answer questions. And I want to thank both of you for having me on today. This was a great conversation. I love learning from you. I appreciate all the work you're doing on behalf of trans kids. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Chloe.
coming. We really appreciate you. Kimmy, what's
Yeah.
happening? What's going on this week? Anything fancy coming up this week?
Let's see, fancy, not really fancy. I'm still kind of slowly moving into a new house here with my fiance, so that's kind of exciting. So yeah, I'm in work mode, so that's why I'm like work clothes. Just it's time to get some stuff done. So, but yeah, just gonna be hanging out this week. I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to listening to some of Chloe's podcasts while I
Yes.
get things done. So now I have something new to listen to.
Yes,
Yay.
and learn from. We're
Yes,
always
and learn
about
from.
learning.
Exactly.
Yes. So for me, I'm working on my online course, which should be ready by tonight. It's for PESI. It's actually an organization they do online courses for healthcare providers. So they asked me to do one. So I'm doing one. I'm excited about that. Other than
Nice.
that, I'm just happy to be back home in my own place. And I saw my youngest this past week. It was a good
Aw.
time. It was a great time.
Good.
So I'm really
Good. I'm
He's
glad.
all grown, bulked up so much. Very proud of him. But y'all, listen, take care of yourselves and sign up for the webinar. It's free. You might as well. And I'll see y'all next Sunday. Chloe, thank you so much for coming. Y'all go find
Thank
Chloe
you.
at Chloe-CORCORAN, corcoran.com.
That's it.
That's it. All right. Peace, love, and soul, y'all. Don't forget, be kind to yourselves and each other. Yes, I stole that from Ellen because I can. Bye. Ellen says